Sometimes juries return verdicts that are internally inconsistent or contradictory. When that happens, the court may resubmit the verdict to the jury for clarification, resulting in a second verdict. But what if the second verdict is inconsistent with the first verdict? May the court enter judgment based on the second verdict? The Ninth Circuit addressed this question in Duk v. MGM Grand Hotel. Fernando Duk, an overnight guest at the MGM Grand Hotel in Las Vegas, was drunk and behaving disruptively at one of the hotel restaurants. Eventually, hotel security guards arrested Duk and brought him to a detention room at the hotel. Soon, Duk's wife was calling to warn security that Duk was an insulin-dependent diabetic and Duk was complaining about lung and chest pain. Security called an ambulance, explaining the lung pain but not the chest pain to the arriving paramedics. The paramedics examined Duk without checking his heart rate or blood pressure and concluded that he was drunk but otherwise okay. Duk ultimately spent the night in jail and went to the hospital the next morning. There, Duk learned that he had suffered a heart attack and needed a heart transplant. Duk sued MGM for negligence in a personal injury lawsuit filed in Nevada's federal district court. Under Nevada's comparative negligence scheme, plaintiffs can only recover damages if they share 50% of the blame or less. Despite being instructed to that effect, the jury returned a verdict assigning 65% of the blame to Duk and awarding him $3.3 million in damages. The district court observed that the verdict was internally inconsistent and resubmitted it to the jury with instructions to keep deliberating. 20 minutes later, the jury returned a second verdict assigning 49% of the blame to Duk, but awarding the same damages. MGM moved for a new trial, and the district court granted the hotel's motion based on the inconsistency between the first and second verdicts. At the close of the second trial, the jury returned a verdict for MGM. Judgment was entered based on that verdict, and Duk appealed to the Ninth Circuit, arguing that the second verdict from the first trial was legitimate.